Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Leviathan, which is a non-narrative, avant-garde documentary. It takes place on a fishing ship, and the directors decided to put various cameras throughout the ship, like kind of hidden and smaller waterproof cameras, so they can get weirder exact views of the ship. And so you get views of this fishing ship that you normally wouldn't see in, I guess, an ordinary documentary, down in where they keep all the fish they've caught, like really right down with the fish. So you see like their bug eyes just like popped out from the pressure, and like through the perspective of the fishermen, because they have a camera on their helmets. All the cameras are put in weird places, so what you're looking at isn't automatically recognizable to the eye. At the beginning, you see the ship and it's in this dark black water. I don't know how many of you have ever looked out at the ocean at night when there's no lights on it, and how much of a black endless abyss that it looks like, but it definitely reminded me of that, and how hopeless and inadequate and inconsequential I definitely have felt when I look out into the ocean at night. This film opens at night and it closes at night, and when you see the ship at night, it looks almost unrecognizable. It looks like you're going through hell. It looks like you're going through some alternate dimension and you don't know where it ends or begins. And when you see the wires bringing in the fishing nets, they look like alien. They look out of this world. They look like monsters. They don't look like the typical way to shoot them. I'm not against documentary per se, but I kind of have gotten sick of documentary because it's such a boring genre. Everything is basically, it's telling you how to think. All of them are fairly similar. It's like, you know, narration mostly by a celebrity who has something to do with the subject matter or has an interest in the subject matter, cut with talking heads, then cut back to narration, then montages, then older interviews of the subject possibly. And it gets so boring because it's like, once you've seen one documentary, it's like you've seen them all. It's such a dead, stagnant genre. Specifically with this film is such a breath of fresh air with documentary. This is the kind of thing I want documentary to be. I want documentary to be weird. I want documentary to be different. I don't want to see the same fucking documentary every time. And like this film and like The Arbor a couple years ago have really come out and questioned what is going on in this dead, stagnant genre. That's something I've felt for a long time about documentaries, is that they don't really take any risks. It's subject matter over filmmaking, and I personally like filmmaking. And Leviathan comes out, and Leviathan is beautiful and wonderful, and you don't exactly understand what to think of it. It reminds me of Stan Brakhage. It's like experimental film, and you're watching some of these images and you're getting right up close with the fish and with these fishermen, and they're like cutting down these stingrays at one point, and all the images I took away from it are so memorable, but there's no story. There's hardly any dialogue, and if there is, it's obscured by all these weird loud noises. It is very dark and creepy and weird and strange, but it's a film that you can really think about and take your own interpretation from, because Leviathan isn't telling you how to feel about these fishermen or the environment with these fishermen. It's very matter-of-fact at the way it filmed and documented their subject matter, but it's very artistically the way it was shot that you can take away different things from those images, and that you're left with just images. I mean, it's literally like stripping away everything from a documentary and giving you just filmmaking. I don't think this film is really going to be for everyone, and a lot of people who say they only watch documentaries and watch dead, stagnant genre documentaries all the time probably won't like this film. It's far more like an interesting, odd, avant-garde art movie than a lot of these films that, you know, play in art theaters but hardly have the intelligence to be called art movies. You really sit back and you're kind of taken to this dark place, and these cameras, it's amazing what these cameras could pick up with the technology with cameras now. They use this to really make a really condensed, weird, strange movie, and it's like you're seeing through the perspective of a fish. They made so many films where people like are shrunk down like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something, and then they just build these ridiculous sets. But this is the first time I really felt I got the viewpoint of someone or something that small, because so many of the cameras were like really at foot level, basically, for us humans. I almost felt like what it would have been like if you are one of those fish waiting to be cut up, and like seeing how kind of savage it is. I'm kind of almost, I feel like, adding analysis to it, because it's really letting you decide. It's really, there's no official ending. I feel like they almost do at a certain point, and for a little bit when I left the movie, I felt like there was a part that should have maybe been the ending and it should have ended earlier. But as I think about the whole piece and I think about the film, I like the way it ended. I think artistically it's so much further than almost any documentary I've seen, probably since The Arbor. This is definitely probably the best documentary I've seen since The Arbor, and it's an interesting documentary, and it's one of the few documentaries I can truly call an art film, not just a documentary that played at an art theater. This is really an art film, a way that you can kind of draw your own conclusions from it, and it lets you think about its imagery. It's not telling you really anything about it. I mean, it kind of is, but it isn't really. And how dark and creepy it is at the same time. Leviathan's the rare documentary that leaves me with faith in the future of documentary, a genre that I have really gotten sick of and has really become way more about ideas than filmmaking. And I think that's a fucking shame, because I like ideas, I think social change needs to happen and such, but I truly like filmmaking, and I think Leviathan stands for that. It's one of the better art films of the year, but it's also one of the better documentaries that you will probably see this decade. So if you have seen Leviathan and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to.